I lost 110 pounds without taking any pills or injections. All I did was that I followed the diet that I'm going to tell you about in this video, and I believe that the diet is better than Ozempic if you're a busy man who doesn't have the time to count calories or prep food. So here's what you get when you take Ozempic, right? First and foremost, yeah, you're going to lose the weight, right? Because Ozempic is going to kill your appetite, which is going to lead to you barely eating anything, which is of course going to lead to you losing weight. But in order to take Ozempic, you're going to have to pay, literally, because it's either going to be your insurance that's going to be covering it, or if you're going to pay for it out of pocket, it's going to be $1,000 per month for your monthly dose of Ozempic. And worst of all, there are side effects that you might have to deal with, like nausea and diarrhea and vomiting and all that stuff that nobody likes. And the scary part is that the long-term effects of Ozempic are still unknown because it's a relatively new drug. So that makes Ozempic a fuck no for me. But what I want to show you in this video is the diet that helped me lose weight without breaking my bank or shoving needles into my ass every week, right? Now, this diet will make you lose weight. I mean, it helped me lose 110 pounds, so obviously it works. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars. I mean, you could literally implement it yourself for free if you watch this video all the way to the end, or I could implement it for you if you work with me for a fraction of the price. The diet has zero side effects unless you consider weight loss a side effect. And it's been tried and tested by me and my clients. Izzy lost 27 pounds on it, T lost 10 pounds in 1 month, Miguel lost 5 pounds in 2 weeks, and Elvin lost 5 pounds in a month. And the biggest example, like I've mentioned before, is myself having lost 110 pounds on this exact diet. And this diet is extremely simple because all you really have to do is set up a certain number of calories and not go over them. And I'm going to show you how to do that later in the video. And it's not complicated. You don't have to give up eating sugar. You don't have to give up eating carbs. None of that fancy shit. To be clear, I didn't really make this video to shit on Ozempic. If you're willing to take the risk and deal with all the bullshit that comes with it, then go ahead. I am not, and I know that most people aren't. The reason I've made this video is because I'm sick and tired of hearing bullshit advice from the fitness industry where they ask you to give up carbs, give up sugar, stop eating your favorite foods, and just live a miserable life if you want to lose weight. I've had so many family members and friends fall prey to this shitty propaganda and quit their favorite foods, all whilst not losing weight. Now, before I show you the 5 eating tactics for weight loss that 99% of people don't know about, we've got to set up your calories and your protein. So we've all heard the boring advice that we need to eat less calories than we burn in order to lose weight. But I'm going to make that practical for you in this video. What I want you to do is take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by numbers starting from 10 all the way up to 14. The more active you are, the bigger number you can use to multiply your body weight with. If you're a blue collar worker, then maybe you can multiply your body weight by 13. And if you're a desk worker, then maybe stick to 10 or 11. These are going to be your daily calories that you're going to try your best to never go over. Now, once you've got your daily calories figured out, you've got to figure out the only macronutrient that I care about for myself and the people that I train in my school community, which is protein. Now, you don't want to make the mistake of trying to eat as much protein as possible because after a certain point, more protein in your body just means more time spent on the toilet. So you want to aim for 0.9 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So a 200-pound man would only have 180 grams of protein. Now, there are 5 tactics that you can use to stay within your calories and prevent overeating. The first 4 are pretty well known, and the 5th one is my invention. Now, the first tactic is portion control. Portion control is maybe one of the simplest, if not literally the simplest eating tactic because all you're really doing is, like the name suggests, you're controlling your portions. You're not really changing what you eat or the way you eat. You're just eating less of the foods that you're already eating. So for example, if for breakfast I'm having 4 eggs and 3 slices of toast, when I start portion control, what I'm going to do is have 2 eggs with 1 slice of bread. The biggest pro to eating this way is that there's not much thinking that you've got to do, and it's extremely simple because it literally does not matter what you eat. If you implement portion control, you're going to be eating less, right? If you're eating, say, McDonald's every single night and you're eating 2 spicy McChickens, all you've got to do is eat 1 spicy McChicken instead, and boom, there you go. Calories are reduced, you're going to start losing weight. Now, the second eating tactic is to front load protein, and that tactic is exactly what it sounds like. So what you do is you try to get in your grams of protein. Remember the amount I told you about in the beginning of the video, 0.9 grams per pound of body weight. You try to get those grams in as quickly as you can, and then just backfill on the calories that you have left eating whatever you want. Now, the absolutely massive advantage to this tactic is that you'll never miss out on your protein and you'll be able to eat a lot of your favorite foods. Because if I'm on 2,000 calories and I need, say, 180 grams of protein, if I can just get my protein in through chicken breast and protein shakes early on in the day, then I've got what, 300, 400, 500 calories left by the end of the night that I'm free to do whatever I want with, because I've gotten my protein in. So the extra calories I have left, I can do whatever I want with them. So the advantage to this tactic is that it allows you to eat a lot of your favorite foods, right? I use this tactic myself, but I modify it a little bit, which I'm going to tell you about in the 5th tactic. But the reason I like this tactic so much is that it allows me to eat ice cream by the end of the night. And for those of you that have watched my videos before, I think you know how much I love ice cream. Now, the 3rd eating tactic to lose weight, and you've probably heard of this before if you've tried to lose weight, is intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting, simply put, is not eating for a certain part of the day and just drinking water. And then after that window ends, you break your fast and start eating. Some people do 12-hour fasting windows, other people do 20-hour fasting windows. My recommendation, if you're gonna do intermittent fasting and you want it to be effective, is to aim for at least a 16-hour fast. So assuming that you're going to sleep at 8 p.m. every night, I want you to not eat anything before 12 p.m. the next day, right? That gives you an 8-hour eating window, and it's pretty difficult unless you just binge on shitty food. It's pretty difficult to gain weight eating only 8 hours of the day. For those of you that are going to implement this intermittent fasting approach, my recommendation is to utilize caffeine, because you're going to feel, undeniably, you're going to feel hungry when you're intermittent fasting, because that's the entire point. But if you want to suppress your hunger, what you can do is drink coffee or drink an energy drink or whatever your poison of choice is. And it's going to suppress your appetite and make you feel less hungry during your fast. The advantage to intermittent fasting is that you just front load the pain. I personally hate being hungry, and I'm assuming you do too. So what happens is, instead of being hungry and not being hungry and being hungry and not being hungry, you're just really hungry for some time and then you're not hungry at all. Because if you're only going to be eating for 8 hours, then when you go to bed, you're going to be completely satiated and you're not going to feel your stomach cramping up as you toss and turn in your sleep. Now, the 4th eating tactic is like intermittent fasting, except it's on steroids, because it's the OMAD diet, which just stands for 1 meal a day diet. I mean, the name is pretty self-explanatory. You're fasting for the entire day, not eating anything except for 1 meal. The best part about this diet is that it's pretty much impossible to not lose weight on it. And the reason I'm saying pretty much and not literally impossible is because there's going to be that one asshole in the comments who's going to go, well, no, it's possible. I can gain weight eating 1 meal a day. I just eat pizza. Yeah, if you're an absolute idiot, it is possible to not lose weight on an OMAD diet, right? But if you've got even half a brain, then it's pretty difficult to not lose weight on this diet. It's just that it's pretty restrictive and it's very difficult, and it can lead to binge eating, which is why I prefer the 5th eating tactic, which is just the combination diet. The combination diet is where you combine the best aspects of all the 4 diets that I talked to you about before. Now, the reason that the combination diet is the best diet that you can adopt is that because all of the 4 diets that I talked to you about before have pros, undoubtedly, otherwise I wouldn't recommend them to you, but they also have cons. So for portion control, the con is that you're going to have to practice self-discipline. You're going to have to control the urge and resist the urge to eat that second McChicken when you're eating McDonald's. And the problem with front-loading protein is that you could ignore carbs in your meals. And if you're going to go to the gym earlier in the day or go get your run in or whatever it is that you're doing for movement, if you're going to go and get your movement session in without any carbs in you, then you could be drained and you could feel tired during your workout. The con with intermittent fasting is that it doesn't take irregularities into account. So if you ever have to go out for lunch with your girlfriend or your wife, or someone at your office offers you a donut and you decide to indulge, it doesn't take any of that into account. The biggest con with the OMAD diet is that it's very restrictive and it's very extreme, because you're pretty much starving yourself for the entire day until you get your 1 meal in, right? And what can happen when you do that is that, say for 5 days a week you're on the OMAD diet, On the weekends, you can end up binging because you've been starving yourself the entire week. So your body's gonna tell you that it really needs to eat on the weekends. And so you can binge and collapse and fuck all of your progress. But what the combination diet does is that it takes the best part from all 4 diets and it removes the worst parts of all 4 diets. So here's how I eat on a regular basis. I wake up and I have caffeine. I don't eat anything in the morning, and that utilizes the intermittent fasting principle. But then when I have my first meal, I have carbs, but I also have a lot of protein. So I'm front loading protein. And because I'm front loading protein, by the end of the night, I have a few hundred extra calories left that I can use on ice cream, donuts. I don't eat those foods every day, but I eat them every now and again when the situation calls for it. And whenever I go out to eat, which is pretty often since we go out to eat with family, or I go out on, say, a date, or I go out with friends or something of that nature, what I do then is that I utilize portion control. If my date is gonna have 2 spicy McChickens and 2 large fries, then that doesn't necessarily mean that I've gotta eat that too. What I do usually on dates is I just stick to ice cream. Now, the tricky part about the combination diet is that it can be a little bit more complicated to implement, which is why what I've done recently is create an email newsletter. And if you click the link in the description to join the newsletter, you can eventually sign up to a little draw that I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna ask you about your problems that you're facing right now with your weight loss or say with your muscle gain. And I'm gonna create videos to help you one-on-one. And of course, it's all gonna be for free. And if that sounds interesting, you can click the link in the description. Now, if you wanna look your best after losing fat, then you've gotta adopt a good weight training routine. And I'll show you how to do that if you watch this video. I'll see you in the next one.